super is going to be awesome for this next generation, because that money that goes in every month, when the market's high, you don't buy very much of whatever you're invested in. And when the market's low, your dollars that go in every month buy more of it. Like magic.
Typically, when things feel out of control from a financial point of view, all advice, the first, stems back to budget. Budget better, harder, cut things out.
Yep.
Get rid of your discretionary spend. And most people are like, I did that like 3 years ago.
You don't want to give up gym memberships and all that, because I think in tough times, the only thing that keeps you sane is going for a walk or doing some exercise.
Welcome to the My Money Circle podcast. I'm Rebecca Marth.
I'm Anthony Matthews.
Let's get into today's podcast. Welcome to episode 2 of the My Money Circle podcast.
Here we are again.
We brought ourselves back. No one brought us back.
Yep. No one brought us back. By acclamation, I'm sure.
We are resilient. We can withstand a lot of love and or comment, or choice in comments. But we're back, and today we're going to talk about the cost of living.
The financial cost of living, not the emotional toll it takes on.
Well, we'll bundle that in.
We can do that too, I suppose.
I think we should bundle that in.
Might be a separate podcast.
The emotional cost of living is interesting.
That's the one I battle.
Well, we are going to dig
most of the time.
We're going to dig into that.
Oh, God. All right.
Let's start, though, with what people are hoping to get out of this, which is to feel like they're not imagining how hard everything is at the moment. We're going to talk about all of the pressure and the stress that's on our household budgets, our incomes, and then how we're seeing that play out. And we'll talk about how coaching can potentially help as well, if that's something that fits into their wants and needs. So, I mean, it is hard. The top of the list is petrol. It's all over the news. I looked at my tank driving here today. I've already got half a tank left.
Yeah, it's probably one of your biggest net assets at the moment. Your full tank of petrol.
It is
for a lot of people.
That and the 2 20-litre tins I've got in the shed. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I thought I should buy more, but then I thought, what's the point? Am I just going to stock the shed full of...
Everyone's a commodity trader now. Do I load up tins now, taking a view that prices are going to rally, and then, or what if I go and load up all of my, fuel requiring vehicles, and then the price goes down next week? Oh, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
You live on acreage though, or something, right? So you must have some sneaky barrels of oil somewhere.
No, that's why
Diesel?
I never became a trader. I was always a salesperson, because
so you sold all yours.
I take a view on markets, and I'm invariably wrong. So
you sold it like 6 months ago?
But no, I think it's like investing. So do you go and put all your money into the stock now because you like it, or do you put little bits in, called laddering? Do you ladder into it? So I guess I'm doing involuntary laddering, because when it gets low, I just go buy some more petrol.
But you just top up the tank little bits at a time.
Yeah.
So you're like dollar cost averaging into your
exactly.
tank.
Yeah. Oh. So if you like the stock, you buy it now, and then you wait, keep a little bit back, and if it dips, you buy a bit more. And that's why over time, a super is going to be awesome for this next generation, because that money that goes in every month, when the market's high, you don't buy very much of whatever you're invested in.
Yeah.
And when the market's low, your dollars that go in every month buy more of it.
Yep.
Like magic.
Investing 101 there, right.
Investing 101.
That is excellent.
There we go. We're done. So the podcast has
over.
already achieved its KPI.
So let's go back to the top
and
talk about cost of living. So I want to just go through it, because some people might be sitting there thinking, well, it's petrol, but why is it so difficult? It's not just petrol. We've got, let's go through it. We've got interest rates are rising again.
Yep.
We've got a fuel crisis. Health insurance is about to go up today, I think, the 1st of April.
That's true.
Another 5%, which I read yesterday was about a couple $100 extra a year on a premium. So, and that's the other thing. We look at, we hear anecdotally, oh, it's a couple of extra $100 a year. And people think, but that can't be the reason why I'm feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
No.
It's the compounding, cumulative pressure of all of the things that make up the majority of our household budget.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got those things, interest rates, health insurance. We're getting a breather on the excise fuel levy for 3 months or something. Thanks very much. But beyond that, it's just an ongoing battle. If you've got kids and school fees and we've got groceries, electricity's up.
Which all feel like inflation's high, but they all feel like they're going up more than inflation, doesn't it?
Correct.
School fees go up. They don't just go up 3%.
No. And I think the other thing that's people are forgetting is that because it wasn't, headlining in the news for the 6 months of last year, back end of last year, we sort of forget that, well, in fact, this cost of living crisis, which emerged onto the scene during COVID, it's really been on our backs for about the better part of 5 years. So costs had already risen, creating a new floor.
Coming out of COVID particularly, right?
Yeah.
It never felt like coffee went back down to where it was.
Correct. Or a block of cheese.
Or getting a renovation done.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So the floor never returned to where it was. We had a new floor and now it's continuing to rise. So if you think about it like a house, your floor's going up, the ceiling stays where it is, and you're just getting squished in the middle.
Yep.
It's a real problem and predicament.
Right. So what do we do about it, right? Like I suppose one angle on the interest rates, which is my background, so I love interest rates.
Do share, Anthony.
If you're sitting at the central bank, the Reserve Bank of Australia, which is the bank for the banks in Australia, now they set the interest rate called the cash rate, and it affects everything because people go, well, how do they set that? Well, in essence, there's a bunch of incredibly smart people that sit and do research and look at all the way from the micro to the macro in Australia, how businesses are going, all the way up to where our currency is trading against other countries, all the commodity prices that we're exporting and import. So the research goes through all the different markets we have, debt markets, equity markets, all the different types of debt, where they're trading. They're called credit spreads. They look at if your credit spread goes wider to where government interest rates are, which are supposed to be safe. If the credit markets go a bit wider, that means the market's worried that you're a bit riskier. So they keep a whole lot of dashboards and barometers about all of that. But at the end of the day, the poor old RBA, like all central banks around the world, have got a hammer. They've just got a hammer to try and hit whatever's going on in the economy. So the RBA just put rates up another 0.25%, and the market's pricing 2 more this year. So how does that flow through? Why does that affect your mortgage? Well, in effect, the RBA sets the price of money that the banks then buy the money at. It's very simplistic, but all the banks then have to kind of look at the money that they give you on a deposit or where they charge for short-term rates. But the government markets around the world, including Australia, go all the way out to 30 years. So when this front number, the cash rate, moves, the curve, as it's called, so the curve's just plotting where all the rates are between now, the cash rate, all the way out to 30 years. And so they can look all wavy or they can look like a straight line, and they move around. So Australia's curve moves versus American curves and so on. So the poor old RBA is in a bit of a tough spot because obviously the more they stick interest rates up, we're all going to panic. I can't afford anything. If they put rates at 10% now, the whole economy would implode. There'd be no inflation because you've got a smoking ruin.
Yeah,
they can't do that.
Yeah.
But what they're worried about at the moment is obviously fuel prices going up are such a big part of the equation that if these prices stay up, they multiply through the economy, causing price rises for everything from fertilizer to plastics to everything. So what they do is, well, that headline rate, as it's called, which is everything. So headline CPI, the Consumer Price Index, think of it as a big basket of almost everything, every product in Australia, and they plot the price for it. And where it goes month on month, that's the change in the CPI.
Yeah.
So they have another measure called core CPI. So they measure things that are way out, that have gone nuts in price,
Yep.
and others that are plunged, and they get the core. So that's the one they really watch, because that's without all the noise.
Yep.
And if we break that one down, 45% of that is the cost to put a roof over your head. So rent and mortgages.
Yep.
The other 15 is transport, and the other 15 is food and groceries. That's 75%. So you think of your own household budget, the core CPI is measuring 3/4 of what we all spend. Those three things. It's
Yep.
not very complicated.
Yep.
And this other 25% is pretty discretionary.
Yep.
So if the RBA gets focused on how high petrol prices go, or energy prices more generally, and gas will follow that, and they keep sticking interest rates up, houses are going to be clobbered because, you know, and this is the dilemma I had with them going early. I would, the Bank of England and the US waited. They're waiting to see what happens with it. Now, admittedly, American fuel prices aren't as high as ours because they extract and refine their own oil. But you might get into a bit of a chasing your own tail situation. So as petrol goes up and you put rates up, well, the two things are happening. Petrol's taking money out of your pocket every week, every month anyway. And now if you go and get hammered on your mortgage, there's money coming out of your pocket. And the RBA is like, well, we're here to stop inflation. And you're like, well, hang on. Generally, inflation comes when things are overheating in an economy. So you put rates up to stop people going and buying necklaces and bottles of champagne.
Yep.
You go, no,
Yep.
you're all being naughty, so you're going
Sounds
to pay a higher
bit
cost
rough.
for your money. Yeah. But this is not what's happening now. These are things that people can't control. And that's why you feel so anxious and paralysed, because all the things that your poor old fortnightly or monthly pay is going towards, you can't control the cost of them.
Right. And this is one of the hard things, because typically when things feel out of control from a financial point of view, all advice, the first, stems back to budget. Budget better, harder, cut things out.
Yep.
Get rid of your discretionary spend. And most people are like, I did that like 3 years ago. I don't have any discretionary spend left. And that is frightening. It is scary. But so what we need to do then in those instances is think through what is the new mindset in terms of weathering this period. All periods in our lives and with money management require different mindsets. So some is about, there's what is required when there's opportunities for growth is different to what's required when there's periods of like this, let's call it. And the difference, quite simply, is we switch into what do we need to do to be more resilient?
Yeah.
Like what can we do? And I don't mean mentally resilient. I mean financially resilient.
Right.
So what can we do? What is in our control? What levers are left to re-inject more free cash flow into our life? Now, that can be things like pausing or stopping what we might consider to be fixed expenditure because it comes every month, but they may not be things that need to come every month for the next 6 months or 12 months. And I mean, an expensive gym membership as an example. It could be something totally different. But the idea is, what can we do? And think temporarily about this initially. I think a lot of the fear around making financial decisions is that, oh, well, if I get rid of that, then what? What does this mean for my life and my lifestyle going forward? It's not everything we do from a financial point of view has to be permanent.
Yeah.
Some decisions are granted bigger than others, like selling a property and moving into a different one, or relocating, or things that have an impact on our life and lifestyle more than others. But again, they're just periods.
Yeah.
I think we just need to, and you can probably give some personal experience because, you've been around longer than me. So
That's ageist again. God.
So, you think through your life and I can think in my own life.
Yeah.
There are times that are tougher on the budget. There are times when you might be going backwards
Yep.
on paper, But it doesn't mean that, it'll never turn around, or that there won't be a time where the right guidance and the right help can start to swing things in a better direction.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
I can tell you what happens when there's no plan.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm old enough to remember the GFC, which I'm sure is becoming ancient history for lots of people. But happily sitting at a bank going into the GFC, it was incredible how quickly banks pivoted from paying people vast sums of money, because the period from 2000 to 2007 was real go-go years for bankers. We're hiring heaps of people. People got huge bonuses. Everybody in London was driving an Aston Martin. Very happy days. Within 6 months, and two of my big clients over there were trying to sell their house in the worst possible market, because as soon as the monthly paycheck stopped, they were done. And it was awful. And the amount of financial pain that rippled through financial markets and then rippled into the wider economy. And it was shocking. Not that I had a particularly great plan or anything going into it. No one plans for a financial catastrophe.
No.
But there were a lot of people who were, and I think that this is true in some of, in some circles in Sydney and Melbourne as well, where people really are pretty maxed out. Like they're like, look, this is an expensive town to live in. I've got this big mortgage. If something happened to my job, that'd be bad. And the way around it is a bit of risk management is having your partner work, or hopefully in a different industry.
Yeah.
So that you can kind of weather those storms. But when the storm comes, if you don't have a plan, it was just really horrifying to me to see the amount. And a lot of people have never recovered from the GFC. The kids were straight out of the school, cars were all gone, had to sell the house. Whereas you just look back and you're like, man, if you'd only save 5 or 10% from, the previous 10 years, you'd have a buffer to get you through a year of this, right?
Yeah.
And the sun comes back out. No matter what the crisis is, the sun will come out. You just got to get back to that. But, and it's hard to get a plan, and you don't want to have a plan for like everything. Sit down with your wife and go, oh, we better plan for global nuclear war. We better plan for alien invasion.
Weird. My husband asked me to do that.
So you need to be sensible, but it's things like having 6 months of expenses put away.
Yeah. Yes.
It's things like just what's a reasonable risk in Australia? Like what if, what if fuel stays at this level for a while? Can we just, only use one car for a while? How can we accommodate, And the last thing I think is like, you don't want to give up gym memberships and all that, because I think in tough times, the only thing that keeps you sane is going for a walk or doing some exercise. So,
well, that's right. You've got to think,
and getting a worse diet.
Yeah, you've got to think about what's going to keep you going.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, spiritually, however you need to be nourished and motivated. And you have to kind of think through that and think, what are the non-negotiables for me?
Exactly.
And build what I kind of loosely refer to as a crisis budget around that. There are then the obvious ones, like whatever your housing costs are. Some people may choose to make different decisions about housing in the short to medium term.
Yep.
If the situation calls for it. That's kind of, I know myself, that would be at the extreme end of changes.
But you don't want to have the decision taken away.
Correct.
And you're trying to sell a house in the worst possible market.
Yes.
If you and your spouse both lose their jobs and you're like, well, let's leave city A and move to country town B that we've always wanted to move to. But then you don't want it to be done in a shambolic, unplanned way.
Correct.
That's all. And these conversations can be excruciating. Like,
oh yeah,
what happens if you lose your job? But you do have to sit down, and this is again where we think coaching can help. Your partner can join in on these conversations as well. It's not just about you. Just get a plan together. Like, well, whether it's AI, there's a lot of my younger colleagues that are worried. They're like, look, I'm writing the gun sights for AI coming in, like, because where we all cut our teeth in finance was doing spreadsheets and doing PowerPoint and doing all that stuff. And I think there's a bit of a view now that, well, we don't really need you to do that anymore.
Yes.
Whereas that's how we all cut our teeth, learning how to build a financial model And I remember getting feedback about how to sit in a meeting and how to look at people, how to go to lunch with people, how to deal with a client request on a phone, those things. And what will trouble me, probably, again, different podcast, but if AI replaces all of that, how are we going to teach our next generation to be productive workers?
Yeah.
We've already got enough drama with people going, well, should I work from home? Well, yeah, but you lose a lot by being at home, not being with colleagues.
Yes.
Now, if we bring AI in and people are sitting at home just getting Claude to write a report for them.
Feedback looping.
So, but maybe as economies evolve and change, maybe we're just going to have a new form of work in 5 to 10 years. So
yeah, I think.
But again, plan. We need a plan.
That's true. We need a plan. Because responding in crisis, not only is it more stressful, but it leads to poor decision making as well.
Yeah.
Like that's well researched.
Panicky decision
But
making.
people, I think we intuitively all know that anyway. You make rash decisions, and had you not been so rushed or panicked or in a state of turmoil, basically, or hardship, then you can, like you say, preventatively move to a better outcome for yourself.
Yep.
Even if you give yourself 6 months to a year to kind of do that. It's just better to know what's coming. I mean, a lot of people don't want to know though. Like, it's hard. Some people prefer not to sort of stare at the headlights, and I get it. But at the same,
stare into the abyss, probably.
Into the abyss.
Not the headlights.
We've all, again, this is a real podcast where we've all been in situations where we've had to look into a very hard decision or hard times.
And I'll tell you, the harder thing too is not the hard decision you need to make, is when somebody or something makes a hard decision about you.
Yeah.
So you need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of that. If this continues for another year, the mix of AI and Australia's life's been great in Australia, and I think we've afforded to not have a lot of our own capabilities in Australia for various reasons, and that's got to change. Otherwise, we will, as a nation, will be at the mercy of ships not turning up with oil on it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever thought that would happen.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
And without getting, again, too carried away on a different kind of note, this is where,
Go for it.
Again, back in hedge fund lunch territory, but there was a lot of people that were very big in the whole Stoic philosophy, and it's not just putting up with tough times. When you go into the whole notion of the Stoics back in the day, and there was another group called the Cynics, which I quite like. We still have these words around, right?
It's basically like you.
Yeah.
Cynic, Stoic, cynic.
Just because you're cynical doesn't mean you're wrong.
No, I don't disagree.
So, but the Stoics, the core thing in there, the core thing was control.
Yeah. Control
of your emotions, getting control of your life. And with control comes power and being able to weather storms. So the example was something terrible may happen to you, or a challenge may come, or something, even like in day-to-day, something says something that you get upset about or offended. Well, don't let them offend you. If you go, look, I'll just choose not to be offended, or I'll take control of that situation, it's irrelevant what they said to you then, because you're like, well, and that way you're not going to be affected by things that happen to you because you have the steering wheel.
Yeah. That's
it's
the confidence piece.
Yeah, and that's where this plan comes in, and that's where coming into these kind of crises that we're coming in now, like grab the steering wheel. Don't just let yourself be, dragged around by
driven off the
events. Because they will happen to you.
Yeah. I think the other important thing to remember is that we all coming back to our own mindset about things. We all have a certain way of looking at things, what's happening in the world, how serious a situation might be or not, the reality or objectiveness of our situation, our income expense situation, what our real buffer is, what our timeline is, And we, depending on our personality, we might be risk averse, we might be more of a head in the sand type. It's what coaching has the ability to do is to it's not necessarily about filling knowledge gaps about what to do in the situation.
Right.
It's about giving you a different perspective.
Right.
And about helping you see things that maybe you wouldn't have seen on your own, about your options, about your situation,
Yep.
about the way forward,
Yep.
and about how good or bad the current situation really is. I
Yep.
can't tell you the number of times in my experience as a coach myself where when you work through all of that with
Yeah.
people, it's often not as bad as they think in some ways too. A lot of people can ruminate or, they have their own subjectivity about the situation, and sometimes that's about comparing themselves to other people or seeing something far worse than what it currently is, or it's more about where they wanted to be versus where they are.
I've
and that
forgotten
where
my
they
philosopher,
are is
but
not that bad.
there's this great old saying, we suffer much more in our imagination than we ever do in reality.
Yes, that's right.
Right? And this is exactly what you're saying. So
It's a lot of
we're
subjectivity.
giving you someone in your corner that you
Yeah.
can talk with.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of working with people who work with a lot of different people and not just one type of client or person, which is typical of an advisor. There's a lot of perspective that comes from a coach who's worked across a whole range of different situations.
Yeah.
And that can really help you see that it might not be as bad as you think and there's a way forward. So helping, but you need to sit down and be willing to have that conversation too. You mentioned spouses. I think it's really key to kind of try and bridge those conversations, but I know not a lot of people go there or want to go there as well. But I think you can, coaching's a place that you can have private conversations too as a first port of call.
Yep.
To get your head right and to, frame a perspective or a view that you then want to take to your partner to have a conversation.
Could be terrifying, though.
Could be terrifying. It is terrifying
Maybe
sometimes.
not having conversations is the basis of many successful marriages, I know.
And if it works, it works.
It does. Horses for courses.
Horses for courses.
Yep.
That's money in general. You heard it here first. So I think that's a really important thing to consider. I mean, the wages have stayed relatively flat, which hasn't been great for weathering the increase in cost of living.
Right.
But, whether or not they will rise, I don't know. I think with AI, there's certainly a lot of hiring freezes and internal conversations within business about headcount and organisational structure and restructure, more importantly.
Well, it's bad because I was reading this morning, banks are now testing your ability to service a loan at 9%. Even the government, I think the 10-year bond rate for Australia is near 5%. So even Australia, the whole country, can only borrow money at 5%.
Yeah.
So it's quite high. Now, mind you, I'm not technically a boomer, but when I bought my first house in Brisbane, their mortgage was 18%.
Oh, here we go. No, I'm kidding.
It was so much harder back then. And we all happily paid it because, and this is where our old friend compound interest comes back again, because even though the house price was kind of low, I think it was like $100,000 I bought it for back then, but we were paid like not much. Now I see the base salaries of people and it's like, oh my God, you should be able to buy, something at Point Piper. And then you realise, actually no, houses and things are way
A whole new level.
big multiples higher than what we paid. But yeah, the really tricky thing about inflation is when our friend compound interest comes back, if inflation gets up to that 4 to 7% range, which is horrifyingly high, and which is why, even though when we talked on that other podcast about why it's very difficult just to use, the cash rate to get it down when it's something that's not really affected by the cash rate. The old rule of like, if you put money in the bank at 7% interest, it doubles in 10 years. Amazing, right? If you get 10% on it, it doubles in 7. It's this interesting little mathematical quirk. But think of it the other way around. If inflation is at 7%, in 10 years' time, so you're 30 now, and by the time you're 40, you're like, oh, nice. Sweet. When I look at my super, I'm going to have enough money to retire. No, if inflation's 7, let's just say, and we can't get it down, there's a global energy problem. Everybody blows everybody's stuff up in the Middle East. That'd be a 5-year recovery, right? Your money buys only half as much stuff in 10 years' time as 7%. So what does that mean? That means Mars bars are twice as much. It means fuel's twice as much. It means your council rate's twice as much. So if you've got $1 million in super at 40, it can only buy about 500 grand's worth of stuff now in today's dollars. That's why you got to plan, but that's also why you've got to be invested.
Yes.
I know some people that have panicked when Trump got into office and went into cash. And you don't lose any money, but what's happening in inflation at 5%, at the end of 1 year, you've only got $95 really.
Yeah.
Even though you're like, oh, I'm in cash and I'm safe. Its buying power fades. And if you want a 20 or 30 year retirement, you have to get ahead of inflation. Otherwise, even if the amount of money you have stays the same and you live off the income that comes out of it, its buying power is falling.
Yes.
So it's not meant to be scary. It's just this is all part of our effort to kind of bring a little bit of knowledge. So
it's true. Well, everything you say is true, and I think what people need to kind of understand is that maybe we are entering a period of difficulty, like financially, and the time to prepare is now. It'll affect us all differently. Some of us work in occupations that won't be as challenged by AI initially as others. Some people are more working in occupations and have built careers where that may be more of a threat in the short term. Then we can step back and look at our individual housing situation and say, okay, well, where am I with that? Am I someone who's looking to buy? And what does what you've just described and in the podcast we did previously, what potential impact that could have on housing in Australia? One thing we didn't talk about is that there's a converging force as well, which is immigration, but we don't know what will happen with that. We do have supply issues. So there's opposing forces that, are working against each other, which I think a lot of people hope will, I shouldn't say a lot of people who are in housing hope will put a floor under housing. But there's a large percentage of people in Australia who are doing it really tough with housing. There's rentals are difficult and extremely high. They don't have the housing security in that situation. There's a lot of people who can't afford to get in to the market at all. And so looking at your housing situation now and then your plans around housing over the next 5 years is important to consider against the economic environment that we're entering to as well. And how does that change your decisions, if anything? I think it's it's a really good time to find a community that can support you in that during this time, because when things are tough, in what we're discussing, it's tough across the board for different people for different reasons. There won't be many people who won't be impacted to some degree by all of the macroeconomic factors that are happening or that are a threat, I should say, to us right now. So finding a community, finding people that you can work with, that you can be something you can be part of, that will provide some guidance through and navigating these periods, emotional support as well through them, and also be a source of support that you can lean on and jump in and out of as you need and need to respond
Right.
to what happens in your life.
Yeah.
You know, from a money point of view.
Yeah, because this is not meant to be something you check in on every couple of weeks or something.
No,
It can be on demand. It can be like, oh, I've just got a question about this. Fine. Or, no, I might go and see what's happening in the community or the content that's coming in. I just think a lot of the people, that we've spoken to really like the idea of kind of the phone a friend or the telehealth for medicine, for money type model.
Yeah.
Because, even how we kind of like our framework for having people, which is a seasonal based one.
Yeah.
I think the seasons change and you may need a little bit more help in the next couple of quarters.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine for 6 months.
I've reached a period of stability. I know what the deal is.
Right.
I know what's going on. I feel confident that I can self-navigate again for the next X amount of time. But then what happens next? Inevitably. Hopefully nothing happens and you can cruise along for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's not just scary stuff either.
No,
like
that's
there's a lot of people, I anecdotally spoke to back in the day that good news came along.
Yeah.
Getting married or getting a big promotion in particular, and people get a lot more pay and then they're like, oh, what do I do now? Am I supposed to save all this or should I sell this house and buy a bigger one? Or should I keep this house and buy 2 little houses? Or should I buy a flat for my kids?
Yeah.
A lot of my peers are now grappling with how to help their kids, for example. They had a great plan.
Yeah.
And suddenly the kids are like, well, how do I get a deposit together plus service a mortgage? And I know a few people that have borrowed lots and lots of money on the verge of retirement for their kids. Now, that's something you can't plan for, but I know when these things happen that I get a call for a coffee, other people I know get a call for a coffee because people just want to kind of sense check what they're doing.
Yes.
And just having somebody that's semi-independent. I think a lot of the time people worry when they engage with a financial firm or try and get advice. It's like, oh God, well, this has been a good chat, but I hope they don't try and sell me something at the end of it. We're not trying to sell anything here, obviously, Rebecca. We're trying to get people to come and, get coaching. But at the end of the coaching session, it is all about you and it's all about who you bring in. There's not going to be like, oh, and by the way, here's a platform to buy some crypto. Here's a platform that you're betting. Yeah. We can certainly provide very general advice about how appropriate they are and what other people are doing.
Yeah.
It's another very important thing. I used to get asked all the time and still get asked, at barbecue type things. How am I doing? I've got kind of this. How am I doing against other people that are 40, 45?
Yeah.
Do other people have, how much should I have in super at this age?
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot published in the press about how much super you need to retire. And God, half the time I don't even read them because it's like, oh, I need $17 million to have a comfortable retirement in Australia. Well, I don't know.
Just give up now.
But yeah, and that's I think is one of the great things about a model like this, where there is community and where there is sense checking that is independent.
Yeah. And I mean, but people my age, so couples in their 40s, 2 kids. I've got 2 kids, one's in high school, one's in primary school. We had a neighbourhood barbecue on the weekend and people were talking about, family and life and all of those sorts of things. And I was talking to one of the dads and they've got a blended family. Both have 2 kids each, so 4 kids in the family, private school, all that kind of jazz.
Yep.
And, we talk about money circle and he's like, well, I think I need to come and talk to you. He's like, I've got spreadsheets coming out my backside. Oh, God. But every time I sit down with them, they're out of date. Like, it doesn't matter if I do it weekly.
Yeah.
It's all changed. Like, petrol's different. Like, groceries are different. Cheese is now $18 instead of $13. I joke, but, we all know that situation, chasing our tail because you got professional couple, busy, no time to sit down really and discuss these things. And then you've got a whole myriad with couples of different priorities potentially, different focuses, different attitudes towards where money should go and
then
in what order.
Then a big bill comes in. You've just finished. You've spent 2 weeks working on the best spreadsheet budget ever. and then suddenly the wheel falls
Yeah,
off
and
your
you're
car,
like, oh,
or
well,
the
yeah.
roof there's a hailstorm, and you're battling to get your insurance to cover it, and
And so there's
hot water system goes out.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
and
just
that's
rattling off all the things that have gone wrong at
just
my
in
house
your
over
life.
the last
Yeah,
year.
that's right. The hot water system. Tell me about it.
Ugh.
There's ways around that scenario, right? In terms of managing the cash flow or the household budget so that it's less painful
Yep.
and you're not managing 4 different spreadsheets. But there is no one way to manage your money the right way.
No, otherwise we'd have it.
Otherwise, we'd all be doing it, or AI would have told us. So I think it's another reason why cash flow and money management is one of the biggest challenges. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yep.
And it's one of the most difficult things for people to manage and juggle.
Yep.
The reason is that how we like to manage money is different, all of us. Some people are very hands-on. Other people prefer more of a let the system handle the day-to-day. And I'll
another
just
group of
check
people that don't even want to look at their bank account or
there's a
their
lot of
credit card
people that don't
statement
want to
and
look
just
at-
wanted it all to go away.
Is that person in this room?
There's not many people in the room here apart from you.
So
No,
that-
I pluck up the courage and have a look. And
Yeah,
it's
you
always
bust it
worse.
out.
It's always worse, I
you
think.
should take that to your coach.
Because and my wife would be like, "Look, next month will be normal," and I'm like, "There is no normal, right? There's no financial normal. Every month seems to be unique. There's 12 unique financial outcomes for our family every year."
But there is a system there is a system out there for everyone.
Yes.
Right? If you haven't discovered it yet, that's another thing. So there is no one right way, but there is a system. And that's what a coach is designed to help you find.
Yep.
The other beautiful thing that people can realize about money and cash flow and budgeting and all these income and expense management, call it what you like, is that it changes. The demands on it change.
Yep.
The way or the system that you use will change over time. You know, how you start managing your income and expenses in your 20s is very different to how you end up managing your income and expenses often in your 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
You know, the system, the accounts, the structure, how it interacts with your loans and your debt is different too. Like people who have a mortgage, for example, tend to manage their income and expenses differently to people who are renting. You know, some people have a segregated account kind of structure, like a bucket system. Other people have, prefer to consolidate all of their income and expenditure out of an offset or a redraw sort of facility.
Yeah.
So systems and then there's a million different ways to slice it in between those two. It really just depends. So coaching's a great way to kind of find your system, set up your system, and then it gives you the opportunity to work with the same person on resetting and adjusting your system over time in response to whatever's going on in your life and what period you're in.
Yep.
Are you in a period where your wife is about to have a baby and she's about to drop out of the workforce for a period of time? And that's going to affect things. You need to make an adjustment. Better to do it in advance than try and play catch up. But that's one example. Marriage is coming together, people combining finances from previously working separately with money. That's another really big one.
Yes.
And then the opposite, when people separate.
Particularly when people have different expectations of...
Yeah, I know. That's right. You know, beer and sausages and champagne and strawberries.
Yeah.
It's a difficult gap.
They do say
to
opposites
bridge.
attract, but
Yeah. But
maybe not with finances.
There's a money conversation there. Well, maybe not. Maybe people just...
And again, to provide some context, and I'll be very careful so that, nobody can say I was talking about person X, because I'm not, because I'll blend these people. But
no one knows who person X is. Right?
I know, well, they'll think they will. Anyway, there was a very wealthy person I knew overseas, let's just say.
Yeah.
Like beyond hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh.
And I can assure you, wrestling with the same problems.
Yep.
it's funny because you're like, oh my God, imagine having $1 billion. Like all my money worry. No, all it does is unlock a new set of money worries.
Yeah.
And they've spent a lot of time planning. Now, admittedly, they have great advice. But having great advice and doing something about that advice is also tricky.
Yes.
And the second thing is a good example is like those levels of wealth, they're not just sitting in cash or sitting like a lot of very, and this happens at lower levels of wealth too, a lot of it's in assets or values of things that you can't just go and spend.
Yeah.
You might have a big family business that might be worth $30 million, but you may have $20 in the bank.
Yeah.
These are the issues. So all that happens is you just get a different set of issues up there.
Yeah.
And you need a different set of advisors for that. And he ended up going through a pretty difficult relationship breakup, and it was, you wouldn't want his money worries.
No.
For any literally amount of money in the world. It was very, very complicated. So, and the other flip side was some of the happiest people I know are people that, you know, if you put them on a standard model with a financial advisor, like, oh, they're going to do it tough in retirement, blissfully happy, right? Because I think the other important thing, and it's one of the reasons I love this business, is everybody's got a different level of happiness about wealth as well. There are people going to be blissfully happy with a small nest egg, a little bit of super, and they're on the pension here, deliriously happy. There will be people with $20 million in net worth, not deliriously happy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
absolutely.
it's working out where you want to be on that spectrum as well. Because I assure you, people that are 20 million, they want 50 want 100. So these are the kinds of discussions and not role plays, but in enlightenments and insights you can get from talking with somebody like a coach rather than an advisor, because an advisor is going to take a very professional perspective and be quite, a lot of them are quite technical.
Yeah.
That's what they're paid to be, very good. Lawyers, accountants, financial advisors. But we're the step, as we say, before that.
Yeah.
To kind of surface these issues that might be holding you back, or, you know, what number's going to make you happy.
Yeah. And just to take the next step, it's the easiest next step from wherever you are without having to have the whole thing planned and mapped out in advance. Enough of a plan to give you confidence to move forward. So, yeah, I think like bringing it back to cost of living, it's tough. And there's no doubt about it. And it's not an imagined experience. It's real. Everyone's going through it to a degree. Some people are thinking further ahead and thinking through, you know, how that may get worse. And I think we just need to remember that getting a plan together and getting on top of it's important, not just for financial reasons, but, you know, for mental health.
Yep.
And, you know, relationship health. It's often periods where, like this, where money arguments start to
it's a huge thing.
Come up, and it happens.
And this is, again, where if you have a money argument at home, you're bringing that to the office.
Yeah,
it's a huge issue for Australian businesses.
Yeah.
There are people sitting there not listening, maybe having injury rates increasing if they're an external worker, distracted workers, because we know the longer this cost of living crisis goes on, the bigger impact it's going to have on Aussie workplaces too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, money arguments come up in different ways. Like I think a lot of people just assume that, you know, if you're fighting about money, it's like over someone spending too much on the groceries or something, or, you know, too many new outfit purchases, or too many beers, or whatever it might be, whoever's doing it. But that's one aspect, and that happens. But a lot of the other arguments come up when the big people are mulling over the big decisions that might need to be made.
Right.
Like career.
Yeah.
And what that means, relocation.
Stuck in a job they don't like, but they're paid well.
Right.
Or hey, if I got paid just 20% more every month, all my money worries would disappear. So why don't I just start looking for another job? I love this job.
Yeah.
But if I could just get paid a bit more. No, if you can get a plan or get a little bit better handle on things here and have a discussion with your spouse, stay in this job, just get a plan.
Yeah.
So, it's
So there's lots
multifaceted.
Of, people are thinking through their own life and income and expenses, and then, two people in a couple are thinking through their own decisions about incomes and expenses, and then, the differences as opposed to the similarities in those thoughts can create arguments. So it's just a time to be kind of conscious of that and the impacts. And again, that's why having a conversation, even if it's an independent one to start with, to help you think through some of that and make a plan for how you might, whether it's warranted or, the right direction, or then how you might bridge that conversation with a partner and then chart a new way forward together, so to speak. So I think we do need to be, I think employers need to be aware just finally with, it's not directly related to cost of living, but one of the things that's approaching in July is the payday super changes, which is where small business or employers will now have to make superannuation contributions on payday or on the same cadence as they remunerate their employees. Now, there's lots of, it's another, we won't go regale all of the impacts about that, but some of the statistics around the impact that will have on business in terms of the working capital that they have available is significant. I think I saw a statistic from one of the Small Business Council or something where the average business on an annual basis might be down around 145,000 in working capital. And the commissioner has said that there will be a number of businesses that go into liquidation in the second half of this year. So I think there's payday super and there's AI. That on the work front is going to create a lot of
and I see juniors are getting paid. There was a decision made where 17 and 18-year-olds now are going to be 18 to 20 being paid as adult rates.
Right.
Now.
So there's
So that's your McDonald's, that's your lot of retail businesses.
Wages pressure on that side will change or increase. So I think it pays for, not just individuals to be aware of the cost of living, but employers to be aware of that, the stress that brings into the workplace on an already stressful environment with all of these other changes. And there's a lot of research around how financial stress impacts productivity. That's pretty undeniable. But and it has a massive impact on culture, retention, absolutely, but also ultimately the bottom line. So
it's a big part of the mental health claims too that are coming out of the workplace, which are surging as well. Beyond Blue and did a research piece about a year ago or 18 months ago now that that demonstrated the direct link between mental health and financial stress, and in fact the causation between the two. So a lot of employers look at supporting mental health, and rightly so, with interventions. EAP is a really big solution that's been brought in the past, and now we have different, more proactive solutions that offer mental health counselling and that. But one of the really big challenges of addressing mental health alone in terms of employee wellbeing is that if we're not addressing the root cause of, say, 50% of mental health, 30 to 50% of mental health issues stemming from financial stress, then we're leaving a gaping hole in the wellbeing approach. The missing middle again.
In the workforce. So it's a Band-Aid solution without addressing, the open wound itself.
Which, again, we're happy to help with.
So, I mean, I think supporting people with their financial well-being and their money decisions is key to creating a stronger and more resilient workforce.
So as we wrap this up, Rebecca, what is something happening in Rebecca's household? That's a little tip for cost of living.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any little tips? No, that again would be a different podcast. We don't wanna, no one wants to know what's happening in anyone's house.
So,
any tip that comes to mind that...
Yeah, I think I'm a very practical person. So again, it comes back to what do you like to do that gives you a sense of control over your situation?
Yeah, exactly.
I think just thinking about that question, and for me, that is working through my numbers and just having a good, hard, honest look at what's coming in, what's going out, and what's left over.
Right.
Now, that's not always a motivating activity.
No, you'd rather do almost anything else.
You'd almost rather do anything else.
Yes.
And there's plenty of things to find to do other than that. But I do think it's important because it is what it is right at the moment.
Yeah.
And the good news is that there's always something that can be done.
Yep.
Even if that something is thinking differently about the short term to improve your mental health, your physical health, and seeing progress as resilience as opposed...
Just pick something and start.
Yeah, seeing progress as resilience rather than everything always being about achieve, save, invest. Those are really important things to do, but not every period of our life or, situation that's thrust upon us allows for that to be the response.
Right.
So thinking through, go through the budget, look at what's coming in and out, look at where the gap is, and whether that gap's a surplus or a deficit, there's a way forward.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing you can do to feel just a little bit more in control of the situation.
Yep.
And the right guidance at that point can really be the difference between, continuing to move forward to, as you say, a period where the sun comes out again, or slipping further into a more stressful situation. Yeah.
Good stuff.
What about yourself, Anthony?
Well, at one extreme, I was thinking when we were talking about this topic, I had a friend that used to put Perrier water in their home coffee machine. And I'm thinking, if you were in that household, starting to economise a little bit, there's some pretty easy wins there.
Yes.
Pretty quick wins if you're at that level.
So for those people who don't know what Perrier water is, because not everyone puts fizzy water in.
Yeah, like San Pellegrino, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a lovely insight.
There's some quick wins in that household.
Yeah, that's where there's been a very long to-do list, and putting mineral water in your coffee machine to make the coffee taste better is at some stage risen to the top. I might do that now. No, in our household, nothing specific, but I think the hard one we did do last weekend as an example was my son loves driving to and from Brisbane.
Yeah.
So we have to sit him down.
Fun.
Well, he's going to uni now, and I think when you're a teenager, there's almost, if you haven't had those parental discussions we were talking about on the previous podcast, I think as a kid somehow you just think there's unlimited money. Oh, I'll just ask for money. Oh, I've got a credit card. So
you've got this, Dad.
Yeah. We just sat both the kids down and just said, look, Alex, you can't be driving this much with petrol here. Here are some things you could do to contribute. And then to my daughter as well, like it's hard, but I think it's kind of, I was going to say cruel to be kind, but it's not quite that, is it? But it's letting them in and starting their own journey about there's what you like to do and there's what it costs. And getting them to understand that.
Yeah.
And that you may need some agency in here. You might need to start contributing. If you want to go out with your friends, we're happy to support you because you're at high school. But a lot of your friends are getting jobs. Maybe you want to go and get a job, and that way you'll have. It's not because we're mean parents or we're not going to give you any more money, but we were trying to emphasise if you get a job at that age, number one, you'll understand more about money.
Yeah.
But number two, you have agency. You finally in control. You're not. You're not dependent. So that was one little thing. And again, like your point about budgeting, you'd rather have a conversation about almost anything
He would or you
else.
would?
No. Talking to your kids
would.
about money. So that's it.
I think there's another podcast in
Talking to your kids about money.
talking to your kids about money.
Ooh,
Different
absolutely.
age groups. You've got the older ones, I've got the younger ones.
Yeah. And talking to your mum and dad about money too when you're now 50 yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause
And I'm having to evolve my own thought process around that because I had kids who were in primary school and the concepts around money were quite easy to introduce and,
Yeah.
you know, you think you've got it nailed as a parent. And then as they navigate their way to high school, you start to see things materialise that maybe need to be readjusted slightly.
Totally. And think about this whole wave of demographics in Australia with the wave of inheritances that are going to come through and the asset transfers
Yeah.
as well in the United States and the United Kingdom and Europe. There are big issues about this, but they're taxing them.
Yeah.
We don't have a estate tax here yet. But
Another
these
podcast.
are huge discussions people are going to have.
Yeah.
Particularly as people live longer. They're like, well, I'm in this big house, but if I live another 20 years, how am I going to pay for myself?
All right. I think
Anyway.
let's wrap this up, AM.
All right,
it
Rebecca,
for
another
today.
great chat. Thank you.
See you all in episode
My Money
3.
Circle podcast. We will be back for episode 3. If you enjoyed this episode as much as we did making it, definitely follow along. And I'd love to see some questions. We, as you can tell, there's no shortage of us giving very long-winded answers to whatever intrigue and drama that you have going on in your life. So drop it in the chat. We'll engage and we'll make everybody happier and wealthier.